General advice, warning and disclaimer. Opinions, thoughts, research, recommendations and content presented are general advice only. They do not take into account your specific circumstances. Please consult a financial professional before making any investment decisions. For further information on our disclaimers and general advice, please see our website and our PDS.
Hi there, welcome to this week's edition of Bulls vs Bears. JT, welcome.
And hi to all the viewers out there, or listeners.
Viewers and listeners, yeah, g'day. Well, you know, Bill Murray said it best. It's Groundhog Day. Although we now have the richest man in the world and the most powerful man in the world having what most 16-year-old girls would be embarrassed about, a little Twitter war or a Truth Social war or whatever. So, yeah, just when you thought it couldn't get more ridiculous,
here we are.
Here we are. So, you know, I did say when Trump came in, it was less a presidency, more a reality TV show. But
I don't know if they could come up with that kind of script.
No, well, that's exactly right. I mean, I'm starting to wonder whether they're going to, whether one of the Real Housewives might end up being the first woman president.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I think this. Yeah, we're going into payrolls tonight, and then
I forgot markets were open. So payrolls tonight, but we did have a disappointing jobs number.
Yeah,
the ADP was a bit disappointing as well, so that's why the bond yields have backed off a bit.
Yeah, and they've kind of, I think Trump's really like pumping it because it's enabling him to put pressure on Powell, right? So. You know my conspiracy theories and my tinfoil hat about the Bureau of Labour and Statistics. They are a government, and they always seem to conveniently get the number they always need all the time.
That's true.
So,
have they revised any of the previous numbers for this year? 'Cause remember last year they kept revising.
I know that's happened. Every number's been revised down nearly 50,000 every month. So
still the same games basically.
Yeah, but here we are, and it's my monthly. It's that monthly that time of month where I get to say we haven't had a negative payroll since December 2020. So I would imagine we are starting to see a little bit of weakness. We will be getting through. We'll be getting through most of the April and May. We still have not seen any of the Doge job cuts come through. So yeah, I mean, who knows?
One thing I have seen is that some of the Mag 7 are starting to drop jobs though as well. So even the large caps are.
They've been consistently dropping jobs for a while.
Yeah, but it's like starting to hit the headlines now. It's like actual. Like proper numbers, like 6,000s and things like that. It's and then I think the AI giant Anthropic, which Kai's very familiar with, which helps us with our AI coding, said that they reckon within the next 12 months, 50% of entry-level coding jobs will disappear within the next year, or it might have even been by the end of the year. And there was a big story on Bloomberg this morning about basically saying that this thing's moving much faster than people realise, and can I just say as well, like so just on that, you've noticed that some of the AI are pulling out better jokes than we are, so we could be.
Oh, mate, I'm a funny guy. Don't be saying no. No. We there's one particular program we use, and it's become quite witty, I've got to say.
That's what I mean.
So I think it described United Health, which has been just down like about 50-odd%, which I still think it is, but it was the biggest healthcare company in the world.
Yep.
And it said, I think the quote was, buying this stock is like buying a kitchen fire sale, except the kitchen's still on fire. And I thought, geez, that's pretty good material, I've got to say.
Exactly right. So
even comedians could be out of a job soon. There's usually unemployed when you're a comedian, but anyway. But media this week. We
had a full week of media. I think each one of us were on the calls. Oh, sorry, Kai's on his boat today again. Even though it's cold out there, he's got his.
So he's networking.
That's it. He's got his North Face hoodie on, and puffer jacket.
I always wanted to be a hedge fund manager. That is the hedge fund manager's uniform.
That is.
It's like the fintech uniform is the black T-shirt under a suit jacket with your logo on the front. So, but yeah, no, essentially we just try to boil it down to what our favourite stock was. I think Kai's was boss, and we actually ended up recommending that. The uranium's coming back in a big way.
Yep. So I was on Wednesday. It was a technical analysis special. They said, is there a chart that you like? I've liked ServiceStream for a while. So what I do is I run scans every day for new highs, things that are trending higher, and ServiceStream just keeps popping up. So I recommended that. What was your one?
To be honest, it wasn't much I liked basically in our list. But back to the Boss Energy one. Uranium stocks like Cameco are at record highs.
Mm-hmm.
And the good old ASX, which couldn't find a buy recommendation if it hit it in the face. We got Paladin still lagging by 50% from where Cameco is in the last 18 months. And Boss is doing better, only 20. It's lagging by about 30 or 25% on. So both in production, both completely fine. Both have no real. I think Cameco's downgraded more times than ours have.
Oh, that's right. They've not just downgraded, production misses.
Production misses and then downgrades of guidance for further production.
Yeah. Or as an example, Paladin had all those rain problems, and then
it's never rebounded.
No, but the thing is, they actually said that they still hit production guidelines as well. So even though they had bad conditions, they still really good, and that was the actual bottom of the cycle.
I mean, it's sort of getting to the point with the ASX where why don't we just shut it and just give it all to beta shares? Because there's really we've had two decent sized IPOs in nearly 2 years, and it's just CBA keeps going up despite being the most expensive bank in history ever. So unless you unless you're a benefit of ETF flow, you just don't seem to go up. So we're we're very very much increasingly. Just having to look at the US, it's just at least it moves. And this is another one here, like IDP Education, which is one of the. But so just for the record here, if you go back and look at the AFR, fund managers, top pick of the year for about 5 fund managers, about 4 years in a row now. So it went down and it dropped 50% in a day. The other day.
And more new lows yesterday as well.
And more new lows yesterday. The only good news this week was Solpats and Brickworks, who have pretty much owned each other for a decade anyway, decided, well, we'll just pay the ASX less money for 2 listing fees and we'll merge. So that's not what you'd call, that's like a decade late M&A activity there.
Yeah, exactly. It's like basically they have, I think it was 40. Sols owns 46% of Brickworks, and Brickworks owns 25% of Sols.
Yeah, it was so that they could never be taken over, so that they could never be a private equity target. So, but look, I mean, that in the scheme of things, you wouldn't call news, because everyone's been scratching their head as to why they haven't done it a million years ago.
That's
true. More so to kind of real markets. I mean, Solpats as well. Fletcher Building reported badly. I did have that on the call. I said it was bad, and then the CEO pretty much.
Well, that's why I told you it wasn't great, because I gave you the soundbite for the CEO. They're just if the CEO doesn't sound convincing.
So the CEO pretty much gave it. I've got to do a buy, hold, or a sell. The CEO gave it a sell, and then they downgraded the next day. So. But obviously you can see the picture here. The Washington H. Solpats was obviously one of the first chemists in Australia, but then it went to a family office and then became a fund, often described as Australia's Berkshire Hathaway. So they're the kind of – so if the ASX is ever going to get out of this ridiculous funk where only the ETF flow gets it, that's the kind of fund manager. They don't – and obviously they benchmark, but they benchmark it as an example of how well they go.
Yeah.
They try to make money every year. They increase their dividend every year and have done for something stupid, 40 years straight or something.
Yeah.
But it's basically the laziness of the Australian super funds and Australian fund managers who just so they own CBA, but they only own it because they're scared of not keeping up with the index.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care if it's overvalued or undervalued. If your job is to identify undervalued and overvalued companies, and you've just simply given up, I think maybe find another job. So I cannot get my head around. But the benchmarking issue in Australia has gotten to essentially, if they pick up 1% on the index, which you're losing your management fees anyway, they just sit out. They just go and have a smoke and a pancake, and they clock off for the rest of the year.
That's it.
So yeah, be very wary when you're choosing your funds, because and some of them hilarious. It was very funny when the market dropped. Some of them even just choose their own benchmark, and they were choosing the RBA cash rate. But then in 2022, when the market fell, fixed income doesn't go down with it.
So they chose an index then.
So then they just changed their benchmark. Yeah. Like it's a bit of a dodgy old game. But yeah,
it's kind of like when you get your report card and you're trying to like change a B to an A or something.
Yeah,
that's pretty much what they're doing there.
Or it's very similar to politics. You've just got to be the least worst these days. You don't have to actually be the best. But Soul Patts, different kettle of fish. They're a great company. And a great fund manager, and they've had very good, consistent performances, and they've got everything from VC to large cap, and they've actually been behind quite a few of some of Australia's big success stories from an early stage level. So those guys, awesome. So, but yeah, the rest of you wake up to yourself. But US stock news.
So obviously Tesla, that dropped 14% last night on the back of this Twitter spat. So the other two news actually affected us. Meta, they signed a deal with Constellation Energy to buy 20 years worth of power, and that's what made you.
So Microsoft did the same 4 or 5 months ago.
Exactly, and that's why uranium stocks did jump. And Albemarle. So Trump signed off that there's some lithium production facilities being approved. And that made our lithium sector jump 2 days ago. So, yeah, and US news actually just indirectly affected us.
Just as a side note, I think it gave back nearly much exactly today. So, poor old lithium. But, yeah, I don't know whether it's going to be a long road back, I'd say, because even the good ones now are looking pretty dicey.
Well, I do remember that, when lithium was on the go up, like people were just saying, it's actually, there's plenty of lithium out there. It's just all about grades, and refining. And, either way, there's just like every sort of, what do you call it? What's the phrase I'm looking for? The actual production line.
Yeah.
China's got the stranglehold on that. So that they're the guys that keep the lithium prices lower, because obviously they want to produce more batteries at a lower cost.
Yeah, exactly. So there was some, there was a little bit of earnings news over the course of the week. Nothing of any note really. Looking at the heat map, obviously you got Meta and
that's the big one.
Semiconductor. There. Yeah, Tesla down 22%.
So that should be actually black, I think, rather than just the red. 22% for the week.
But they've announced they've got drones now as well, and they may be looking at defence contracts. Okay. I think once Trump at this stage is he's annoyed so many people,
mm-hmm.
and his own party doesn't even like him. They were not his first. They were not their. He was not their first choice.
Mm-hmm.
I think now there is no one who supports him. Like this big beautiful bill. The moment that he basically, he's cut hundreds of thousands of jobs and caused a ruckus with tariffs and then handed it to the ultra rich in tax cuts. Basically, everyone was like, "Well, what was the point of all this ruckus? Like, if you were gonna screw us, like, don't smile first." So I think he will have enough skeletons in his closet that they will go hunting for impeachment at some stage. And I don't, and to be honest with you, you've got to get like an 80 or 90% majority for an impeachment. I can flatly see the Republicans just going, "Yeah, gone." And by the rules, he can't he can't go for another term because he would go over the maximum 8 years. So technically, him serving 150 days puts him 150 days past validity to get elected again, because you can't serve more than 8 years. So, which he said he was going to change, but I'm pretty sure things, the attitude might be slightly different. And I dare say once shelves are empty and prices go up by 20% in the next couple of weeks, he might become even more unpopular. So.
One thing I will say that with this whole Twitter spat between Elon and Trump is that they went for the big guns straight away.
Oh, yeah, accusing him of being in the Epstein files.
Yeah, exactly. We went to sleep and I was like, oh, and you wake up to those news and you're like, oh, okay.
It escalated fast. Like, I thought some of them were doctored.
Yeah.
And then I'm seeing Bloomberg say, quoting them, and I'm like, what? Like, I genuinely thought they were jokes. Like, well, as in, like, bad taste jokes. But, but, you're talking about, Teflon Don. So, I mean, I think, he could feature in the Epstein files and he'd probably get a higher approval rating.
True.
So I'm just pretty surprised Nvidia's down, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. But just with this, if you look at the charts, though, the S&P and NASDAQ have broken out to new highs. Whether they continue or not from here, but this is actually quite what I thought. It's quite mixed for what.
It's very mixed.
Yeah.
The streak is over.
Oh, did you get one wrong?
I'm out by 0.4.
Oh,
something like that.
Just missed. So what was that? 12 in a row?
I got 13.
Oh, you got 13.
I think I got 13. Well, it's 12 or 13, whatever. But the pressure's off now.
Yeah.
But I will say, I did say I think it'd be up and down about 0.5%. So
well, there you go. So it was a close one.
But yeah, look, I'm writing the morning report this week was harder than usual because there wasn't much going on, to be honest. And well, except for which we're going to get to in the next slide, I believe is we got earnings first.
GameStop still listed.
Yeah, still listed. Oracle might be interesting. Adobe might be interesting. But the rest of them, not so much. Obviously, King's birthday holiday.
Okay, so let's play the game. What does this company do?
Ferry's corn.
Exactly.
I've got no idea.
What does corn ferry do?
But
I'll have to look it up with after this podcast.
Ironically, it's probably bigger than like WiseTech or something like that. So
Raphael, I've never heard of that company.
Yeah. So CPI, PPI for China Monday. We do have the G7 meeting coming up. So there's another opportunity for Mr. Trump to look like a tough guy and probably scare the crap out of investors again. I do believe we got some small figures next week, but I think payrolls is definitely going to be the big show.
Yeah, I think that's the most important one. Monday, the holiday.
That's, I think that's so we're not open till Tuesday here in Australia.
Yeah.
So, but commodities. Now, you probably may or may not have noticed, I have made a change. Nickel got the punt off the bar chart, and platinum's on board. So, we did, which we'll get to in this trade of the week in a little bit. We did a structured investment, leverage long silver and platinum, and let's just say we nailed the timing because silver's up 7% this week, and platinum up 8.5%.
But more importantly, so silver has broken past the $35 mark, and as we said today, is that we saw a lot of stop runs because, obviously that's a fresh new highs is a clear level.
Well, and we're talking nearly 15-year
highs, yes. So
I went to go and pick up dinner from the local charcoal chicken shop, and I thought, there's 35 cents to go before record high, before the 15-year highs. And by the time I walked in and picked up my dinner, it was $1 higher, and it went in a vertical line in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So we, but as you were saying, it's got to if it holds above here, it's pretty constructive.
Yeah. Well, that's the key. So whenever something breaks out, you expect a retest. Okay. But a lot of times when silver does a retest, it retraces all the way back down. So what we would like to see as silver bulls is at least 2 or 3 days above that level. It might test it, but if it can just stay above there, then it just means that we're building up for that next move. And more of a short squeeze.
And look, I've been long. It's so my chicken's coming home to roost this week because copper's even up 5% as well.
Yeah.
So and had a pretty lazy night last night. So
the main problem with I won't say problem. So copper broke that $5. So $5 a pound. That's the psychological level. Went past that, but couldn't maintain it. So, but the thing is, it's still above where it was 3 days ago. So it's still constructive.
It's only 20 cents away from record highs. So, and look, everyone's focused on uranium, obviously, but there's no point having power if you don't wire it. So, there's
it has to be transported.
It has to be transported. And that I think the price action in copper has been very positive. And platinum is at the highest point since 2022 when Russia invaded Ukraine. And that was a spike high because Russia produces like 70% of the world's platinum.
Mm-hmm.
And then South Africa's another 20%. And they're both top of the of Trump's like hate list at the moment in terms of, he always talks tough about Putin and then caves the last minute.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm pretty sure he's got pictures of him doing something untoward,
so this one as well. So Bitcoin's actually fallen back down. It got down to 101. I didn't see 100, but we need to. Obviously, that 100,000 level is quite a big psychological level for Bitcoin there. So bulls would want to maintain that level there.
Yeah, well, I mean, looking at that M2 money supply versus Bitcoin chart, I'm pretty damn bullish Bitcoin, I've got to say, because it's not like the full-on printing press, the QE printing press at the moment, but they're still printing money.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's testament to the actual bond yields. So it's not official, but you can just see the way that the bonds reacted last week. We were at I think like 30-year highs in the Japanese JGBs. The real long end. We went way past 5 in the 30 years in the US, and it's all fallen back down now. Obviously, the weak job numbers helped it.
Yeah, rate cut talk really helps that. US dollar, which I didn't check before we came on, and I told myself I should.
Well, that should be down because it's actually near.
It's 98.
Yeah,
so but 98's with the bottom that it's hit. It's like the 4th time knocking.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you look at a daily chart, a break below here, these guys, this might be, you might put a 1 on the front of those things next week if the US dollar falls down.
Exactly.
Because they will go through the roof. So,
because that's the thing. So the whole thing with metals and sort of other assets is that it's actually not them going high. It's just the US dollar falling. Or it's just another.
Or a combination of the two.
Exactly.
So, like a genuine move like that is, that's got 3 years rolling supply deficits. That's got 2 or 3 year rolling supply deficits. Copper, I've read. So someone, I was on Nadine, loves to tease me all the time about copper because it hasn't broken out, blah, 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 and silver and God knows everything else, and not buying CBA. But she brought up, she goes, someone from UBS said it was going to be a supply glut in copper. And I went, that's it. Yeah, there's going to be oversupply, and because of the weaker economic conditions. And I'm like, right, I said, that's odd, but okay. And so I came back to the office and I'm like, what the hell is this guy talking about? I haven't seen anything about that, and I watch it pretty closely. And yes, he did say that, but like, it was like if the global economy was to nosedive. So I'm panicking, thinking that, and I'm sitting, and it took me about half an hour because there was 85 articles about how copper was going into deficit and smelters were actually paying forward fees and all this sort of thing. And then the one UBS guy is like,
there's an asterisk on that supply guide.
Yeah, so but that's half an hour of my life on not get back. Thanks a lot, Nadine. So really hoping this continues. I think our defence stocks, part of that geopolitical thing went well as well. So this was the trade of the week. Silver, platinum, enhanced growth. We've got a silver and gold enhanced growth. So what enhanced growth means is So I'll give the example of the silver and gold bunch, which we've had on for about 7 months. So we $12,000 down for $100,000 exposure. Mm-hmm. You cannot lose any more than the $12,000 you put down. So it's a 12% stop, effectively.
Yep.
The first 12% it goes up, part of the funding. You don't participate. Mm-hmm. So essentially, and then beyond that, you get basically it's as if you're getting the move on $100,000. Yeah. So we tipped over the mark this week in silver. So for every percent now that silver goes up, we're up about 7 or 8 now. You're getting a 10% on the capital you put up, or a 1% gain on the notional, which is the 100,000. Yeah. So it's a nice way to capital protect your investment and not have to worry about the noise, because look, silver's done all sorts of, these things have moved around a lot, as you can see by the chart. Mm-hmm. We did one similar in uranium, and thank God we picked Cameco. But it's there for those really noisy trades that are going to play out over a 2 or 3 year period. Mm-hmm. Those structured investments are a great way to manage the capital that you have to put up front, because more often than not, you don't have to put up the whole lump sum.
Yep.
And you can cap your downside so you don't have to worry about it. And then as it plays out, and then you can early exit, sometimes there's penalties involved. Sometimes they're happy to let you out because the trade's working too well because the counterparty is a bank. But this one, obviously, we bought in like this time last week, essentially. And what have we got? We're already 9% from 9% up. So I think it was 18,000 down for 100,000 exposure for this one. So we've already taken care of halfway of and there's a remaining 103 weeks to go, because we've only done 1 week of 2 years. Yeah. So and then we did pair this up as part of a geopolitical basket with some defence stocks. So a basket of defence stocks with 1.8 times capture to the upside. So you get it's leveraged 1.8 times, if you want to call it that. But the downside, you can only go backwards 10%. So and you are marked in the basket, you're marked by the laggard, but that's where obviously you're getting a little bit of the leverage as well. So, but a really great set and forget sort of style products where you can pick your thematic and you're not getting faked out when the market has a month like it does in April or whatever. Like it makes it a lot cleaner for those who don't like to look at things that have a red minus sign in front of them. Because most of the ones we've done so far in the last 12 months have done fairly well, whereas the people that have held the stocks have quite often been freaked out or faked or sold out of the position. So
it's really good. So it's one way to kind of like just allocate your capital to that one idea. And as you said, it's set and forget, takes the noise out.
Capital efficient.
Yeah, and you've got your position. So
I mean, if you go and chuck the gold silver one, we had clients sell out of a gold stock to go in. You go and put the other 80,000 or into a fixed coupon at 12%. Well, you're up. You paid for the investment straight away. So
exactly.
So they are an increasing part of our business. If you've got any curiosity around them, they are very good products. And we're becoming insanely more popular with our clients. I suppose probably a little bit disillusioned with the ASX and the inability for it to bounce outside of about 5 stocks.
Yeah, true. Well, as we said, like we often say, our sort of most popular products are what the clients are asking for. So we actually, a lot of this is, what is it that you would like from your investments? They tell us what to do, and we just figure out a way to deliver that.
Well, who would have thought? This would be, ask your customers what they want, and they want to buy it. Yeah, they want to buy it. It's amazing.
That's an amazing concept.
Yeah, just a note to the marketing departments of every fund and financial institution in Australia. Probably just stop shoving recommendations down people's throat and actually ask them what they want.
Yeah.
Apparently, BetaShares did. It was index ETFs. So that's a really good one. Look, you can do ETP, MAG, which is the silver one. You can do ETP MPM, which is the diversified basket, which we've had before. And you can do ETP MPT, which is platinum, because we can't buy Russian mining companies out of sanctions, and South Africa's. I don't think the chess system over there. I'm not entirely sure I'd be whether I'm trusting the financial system, but yeah. So they're just interesting ways we're making the client or the investor's life easier. It's like, there's a lot of levers you can pull, and we're the team here, particularly with our experience, we sort of tend to be able to work out a way to get that result. So, but yeah, we're looking at doing one on crypto as well. Just the Trump federal basket. So we're looking at Bitcoin, Solana, and Ethereum as a basket. And that would be in similar style to this, uncapped upside, and that leverage sort of leveraged over 2 years sort of thing. So if you've got an interest in that, that's a great, because you can only lose what you put in. That's what people are very worried about with crypto, can go to zero. So if you're putting in, say, 20 grand for 100 grand exposure, you're risking 20% effectively.
Yep.
But that's it. There's no margin calls. There's no nothing. So,
and the thing is, if Bitcoin does go to the moon, or if crypto does go to the moon, you actually get leverage to the upside as well. You get leverage
to the upside as well. So, and you don't have to worry about it. Like that's the big thing, is you don't necessarily have to worry about it. So so it's a good way of just a good way of representing a view and not feeling like you got FOMO. I mean, we will do. I think with that one, you can do down to. They will go down to about 5 grand increments in that as well. So we just haven't got final pricing yet. But what do we think? So we're coming out of greed. I'm still not convinced it can't rally. Payrolls tonight, it could be a bad number and they rejoice because they're going to get rate cuts. I still don't know.
That's true.
I still don't really know. I think Trump and he's starting to genuinely scare people now. Like it's kind of not funny anymore. Like it's well, if the president doesn't have, like, surely it's got to be above the president to have a Twitter spat.
Yeah.
Like, and he's still having a massive. He wants Joe Biden investigated for having cancer when he was in the presidency. Like, I mean, come on, like, really? Like, the guy's gone. You got the presidency back. Just chill out. Like, I think you've got a few more things on your plate.
That's true. Well, the thing is, so apparently he's in negotiations with Z over rare earths at the moment. So
no, there wasn't even that much detail.
No,
they said they and this concerns me somewhat. No. You can say that. I can't. They said the only thing from the press gallery to the press gallery was Trump and Z spoke. It was a positive call. That was it. There was there was literally no details outside of that. I spent 15 minutes searching this morning. So that concerns me because it could be a positive phone call, but it could be positivity around getting to a deal sometime in the next decade. And yeah, no details scares me with Trump. That means he hasn't got his way.
Yeah,
because if he's got progress.
Yeah, of course he'll announce it. Yeah.
He'll be yelling it while he's still on the phone to the press secretary. So I have concerns, but I mean, who knows? I might be wrong. But yeah, I don't really see. And China's running their own race. They don't really.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
they have been for a decade.
Yeah. So next week, what's so you're off the hook now? You're back to square. Well, I'll go first. So I think non-farms disappoints tonight, so I am bearish for next week.
Yeah, with a very small degree, I'm bearish as well, because I just think there's too much going on, and I don't think Nvidia can hold this thing up any longer. And I don't know, and he's going to have to announce a pretty major. I don't think even a major trade deal, unless it's with China, is pretty inconsequential now. Everyone was supposed to have their offers for deals lodged by Wednesday. They've not brought it up once since Wednesday, so obviously no one's lodged it.
Yeah,
lodged it. The G7's coming out, so he's probably going to be aggressive on the front foot. Like he might not turn up, but then he won't want the G7 to get any attention, so he will say something stupid.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if it does exactly what it's done this week and it's up 1%.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely don't think it can rally more than 1 or 2% because there's a lot of stuff going down at the moment, and we're bordering on record highs, and there is definitely no more earnings that can save this market. So, but look, I'm not as bearish as I was in terms of. Yeah. I don't think we'll necessarily retest the lows again.
Yeah, I'm not expecting a massive fall, but yeah, I just think that this market's reached the top. It doesn't look like it. As you said, we need some sort of new news or a new catalyst to keep busting out to new highs, and I just don't see something coming out next week. So that's why I think just a small pullback, 1 or 2%.
Yeah, and the statistics are very varying now because a rally in May usually means pretty positive.
Is it? Okay.
Supposedly, because the old sell in May thing. But obviously it was coming out of a low. Like, there's a lot of statistical on. I like to stick to the stats in these periods, but now the list of bear market rally ticks is pretty minimal. But conversely, the bull market rally case is like is like there's no ticks anywhere. It's like because it's a once in 100-year bounce.
Mm-hmm.
It's never happened before. So no one really knows whether we're just overextended or whether this is a genuine. But the fundamentals haven't changed, so I'm still erring on the bearish side. But I don't think you'll go too far wrong being short US dollar, which is long gold, silver, and platinum basically, instead of being short US dollar. But yeah, I'm not. I'm certainly not on the bid for growth stocks at the minute. I think you just wait and see. I think it's okay to be patient sometimes.
Right. You don't have to have a view all the time.
Buy some fixed coupons.
There you go.
Get paid while you wait. I think that wraps it up. So we'll I guess we'll know. Kai will be back next week, I would assume. And
we shall see how non-farms happens tonight. So yeah.
Yes, and enjoy your long weekend. Except for if you're in Western Australia, South Australia, or the ACT.
Well, either way, the stock market's closed, so
enjoy the day off.
Exactly.